Today, I thought I would talk a bit about something I feel very strongly about, and I'm going to try to convince you to believe me on this, and that is jumping into conversation in French or any language of your choice that you are trying to learn. Salut les amis! Bienvenue à ma chaîne. Welcome to my channel. Moi, je suis Karen. I'm Karen. Je suis une Américaine qui habite en France. Today, I'm going to talk about some quick tips to help you get started with very basic French conversation when you meet French people or French-speaking people at a social setting. Okay, I'm going to keep it very basic. You know, I really like to talk about the journey that I've had studying and learning the French language over many years. And I know people are always like, well, I like to know the foundation of the language first. And I really love grammar and I like to see things written down. I mean, me too. But the thing is, ultimately, as I've said before, your goal is probably to communicate with people. I believe that building confidence in small steps is really important. And one of the best ways to build confidence is to actually be able to communicate with other people just a little bit. You're not going to be perfect, but you're going to get started with it and it's going to help to motivate you. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is because I did not do it this way and I suffered for years, even at a high level of French, let's say comprehension or being able to write in French, being able to conjugate all the irregular verbs in the subjunctive. Okay, great. It didn't serve me when I was in a social situation and I just wanted to tell someone where I come from. So the focus of this video is going to be on how to create a little script for yourself to introduce yourself in the French language. This may be because you are visiting France and you're finding yourself in a social situation with, or another country that speaks French, where you're going to want to say a little bit about yourself, because these are the questions that people are going to ask you if you are at a party or having drinks with friends in a bar, or you meet people through an activity that you plan, a tour, something like that. And those are questions like, what's your name? Nice to meet you. What's your name? Where are you from, or where are you from originally? What do you do for a living? And why are you in France, or what brings you here? Or is this your first time, in France? Those sort of things. First, before we get started, one thing I want to encourage you to do if you're trying to learn to speak French and you want to jump into conversation and, get your feet wet a little bit, is to speak Franglish. Franglish is just French and English. I do it all the time, even now at a more advanced level. When I run into a word that I don't know in French, I just say it in English. If you want to say, I work in the world of banking, and you don't know what to say, you can say, je travaille dans le domaine de banking. Just go like entre guillemets, quotation marks, banking. The fact is, most people will understand that one word, or if not, they'll stop you and then you can find a way to explain that word. But don't stop yourself from saying a sentence because there's one word in the sentence that you don't know. If there's one word in the sentence you don't know, you say every other word and you stop on that word and say it in English, and then chances are someone's gonna get what you're trying to say or help you figure it out. They may even tell you the word, in which case now you'll know the word. There's a lot of words in French that they use all the time that are English words that are getting peppered in here and there. Bacon is one of them that I hear all the time. After that, I would remind you that even when you're in a social setting and someone asks you a question, you can speak very slowly. And there's no need to try to jam things together to sound like you're more proficient than you are when you're not. Because even if you do that, you're going to find yourself in trouble very quickly. Because if you act like you really know how to speak French, someone's going to ask you a question that you don't understand. But if you just speak very slowly, moi, je suis Karen. Of course, that's not exactly how a French person would say it. If you think of it, if someone came up to you in English, if it's your friend, they're gonna be like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? What's up? Right? Fine. But if that person didn't know the language very well and they came up to you and said, hello, how are you? It's nice to meet you. You're gonna understand they don't know the language really well, and you're going to try to meet them halfway. So just understand that others are gonna do that for you too, and that the effort that you're making is worth it. I would encourage you, if you're taking a class or if you have a private teacher, or even if you're just studying on your own, to try to put together this little script for yourself. You don't have to say the whole thing all at once, but you memorize these little bits and pieces. Even if you don't have all the grammar down, work on being able to present yourself to others so that you can make that instant connection. But you do that using the tips that I've already said to you. My last tip is if you find yourself, like a lot of people trying to learn a new language, like I found myself for many years in a situation where you say one thing in French and the person you're speaking to speaks English, so they speak back to you in English, I challenge you, if you know the response or part of the response in French, reply in French, even if they're speaking to you in English. You just keep plugging forward. You say as many words in French as you can, and they're going to understand that you're really trying. And you can even ask them, would you mind if we speak in French? Est-ce qu'on peut parler en français? J'aimerais bien pratiquer. So, if someone asks me what's my name, or let's say I'm meeting someone at a party, I would say, moi, je suis Karen. And I might say enchantée. Enchantée is a very classic way to say nice to meet you. It's easy. You don't have to learn nice to meet you. You just have to say enchantée. It's like enchanted. Enchantée. Moi, je suis Karen. What would you ask someone at a party? Where do you come from? That's another really common question that someone might ask you. So just learn how to say, I'm from wherever you're from. You can say, I'm from the US. Probably very easy to say, je viens des États-Unis. I come from the United States. Je viens, I come. Or I could say, je suis originaire de l'Ohio, mais j'habitais longtemps à New York. Je viens de New York. I come from New York. Je viens de l'Ohio. Whatever you want to say, je viens de, and then put your place in. Someone might ask you, qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie? Ou qu'est-ce que vous faites dans la vie? It'll depend on if you're in a more informal setting or more formal setting, but let's imagine that you're in a social setting with people who are generally around your age. And especially if you're younger, they would probably use the to form with you, which is the informal way of saying you, too. So if they say, qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie? Qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie? What do you do in life? That's saying, what do you do for a living? Then you can look up whatever the name of your work or career is, and you can say, je travaille dans le domaine de, je travaille dans le domaine de, or you can just say very simply, je suis, and then what your job is. Je suis designer. Designer is a is a word that's taken from English, but they use it in French all the time. Je suis designer, je suis écrivain, je suis entrepreneur, je suis consultante dans l'événementiel. Very difficult word, even for me. L'événementiel. I'm a consultant in the world of events. That's what I do. Oh, by the way, that's one tip that I would love to add to learning how to present yourself or learning anything in French conversation is just to walk around and talk to yourself all the time. I still do it. I practice, I learn a new phrase. I learned how to say recently, oh, that's not at all what I was expecting. And that's not an easy phrase for me to say in French. So I walked around my house for like a few days just saying, ce n'était pas du tout ce à quoi je m'attendais. I just practiced it over and over again. And then now I just try to insert it in everything I'm saying just to get it down, I really think even if you start with the first 3 things that I mentioned, and then maybe for bonus points, add in why you are either at the setting where you are, why are you here at this event, or why are you in France, for example. For me, I would say, je viens de déménager en France l'année dernière parce que je me suis mariée avec un Français. Just put together a sentence that explains why you're here or, what you're doing in France. If you get a question that you can't answer, you can, of course, go into English immediately upon, like in that first phase where you're trying to just get out there, just say your name and then start speaking English, and if you know something, a word or two here and there, you throw it in and you just keep working and working. Once you have those, let's say those 3 facts about yourself down, add another little fact in there or start looking at questions that you might be able to ask someone. And I promise you, it's going to help you to feel just a little bit more connected to the French speaking community. And it's going to give you the encouragement that you need to take the next step and really dive in and learn more about the language. So if there's something else that I can help you with, please write me a note in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a nice thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. I want to be helpful to others who are trying to learn French or another language because for me, it's been one of the biggest dreams that I always had and something that still challenges me every single day, every minute of every day, especially now living here in France. But it's so rewarding and it has changed my experience of living in France to be able to speak. So I want to encourage you on your journey. You are doing great. The fact that you're trying to learn a language is amazing, amazing, amazing. Just jump in and say, je m'en fous. Je vais parler français parce que j'aime bien apprendre cette belle langue. Okay, everybody. See you soon. À bientôt, les amis.